Today I'm going to be talking about how the individual path, the really the truth path each of us are on is an individual journey. And on this journey, everything is temporary. We're kind of like moving through this space-time, and everything coming is going. And so we have to find meaning somehow. Meaning is something we hold on to on the way. It's worth it. I'm going the right way, or it's going to be okay. So I'm sharing a few different resources on this topic. And first of all, Bhavana Vandana, there's this meditation on death called Maranasati, and Bhavana Vandana was this a man devoted to, in other words, somebody who practiced giving their lifetime to remind others to be practicing mindfulness of life, and also in that same vein of death. So there's this saying, I'll try to read it in the Sanskrit, Anaka Vata Sankara Upadavaya Damino Upajitva Nirujhanti Tesam Vupasamo Sukho. But what that means is impermanent are all conditioned things affected by rising and falling away. Having arisen, then they must cease. Blissful is it when they subside. But there's a first part to this, and it says, Mara Moram Nimesapi Maramano Anu Kananti. I who am dying, moment after moment, die in the blink of an eye. And some practices that help to recognize that if everything's temporary and I am temporary, how do I want to live? How do I want to die? How do I want to see death and life? And what's important? So one practice is just staring in the mirror and imagining yourself aging. So I have a small mirror, and I'm going to practice with you just looking. I want you to imagine your eyes are getting more sunken and there's wrinkles on your face, and there's marks and they get deeper, and there's sunspots, and the hair is starting to turn gray, and the head's starting to get sunken, and the chin is starting to get wobbles, and the face, and slowly seeing the skin hanging off the bone until suddenly the mirror drops, the person drops. This might sound really scary, but we have to confront it, because in some way, everybody who gets the privilege to live long enough, the opportunity to know what it's like, has to age. So that's one. Number two is charnel grounds. I want you to imagine your body, now that it just dropped the mirror, it's being brought to charnel grounds, and it's slowly rotting. The skin starts to separate from the bone. Gas is being released. Worms. Stench. Skin layers, muscle layers, joint layers, cartilage, it's all disintegrating, and there's bones left as all the flesh on the bones falls away. And then metta. Metta is a way to feel in touch with all life, that my separate life doesn't make me more alive than anyone else or less alive. In other words, metta comes from, if I'm wise, I'll be mindful that I can die at any moment, and so can anyone else, and I'll settle my quarrels. I'll focus instead on what matters and be grateful. So we start with, we wish happiness, friendship, and ease. So let's start first by saying to ourselves, I'm going to use my name, Shayna, and you think of anyone, you say your name, and then as we go into this, we'll think of anyone that needs to come up. So say to yourself first, I wish you, Shayna, happiness, friendship, and ease. And now you think of someone comes to mind. Say their name. Chaim, I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. Try another person. Michael, I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. And now think of somebody who kind of like is coming in, but you keep pushing them out. Daddy, I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. So the first one is the easy one. The next one is sort of even easier, because like as we move into it, we wish for that. And then the third one is the harder one. Now we move into our whole vicinity. So my whole floor of my building, I wish everyone happiness, friendship, and ease. Everyone's going to die. They're all coping with the fact that they're going to die, each one's death. And the whole building I'm in. So a large building, many families. I wish everyone happiness, friendship, and ease. I want you to go now from the vicinity. We go to the city. Everyone in Brooklyn, I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. Each one of you is temporary. You have to find meaning. You're on your own path. I wish everyone in my city, New York, happiness, friendship, my state, happiness, friendship, and ease. Each one person with a family, with hobbies, with love, with buried, desires, and still room to come into who they are. And then moving into the whole country, the United States, I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. Every human, each one of you gonna die, each one of you aging, sick. And now everyone on the whole earth, I wish you, each one of you, every human, happiness, friendship, and ease. And extending it to every animal, every tiny insect, every bird, I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. During this temporary journey, may you find meaning on your individual path. Just you is on your own path, your journey. And now I go beyond all planets, all stars. I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. It's all temporary, even if you have a span of what I could think of as 1,000,000 years, or even 200 years, much longer than I live, much longer than I was told I can live. I wish you happiness, friendship, and ease. And now, as I mentioned, Bhavana Vandana, so, we have these guides, as I said, who can bring us closer to this idea of that we're going to die and confront the fears, and also do it in a non-traumatizing way. Every time we eat meat, we recognize the chicken or the beef had to die. Even eating fruits and vegetables, they had to die so we could eat them. And something has to die so that we can live. And so I'm going to speak. He talked, some of his comments on these topics that he says really change the way you look at this is that everything slips through the fingers. There's nothing to hold on to. The only way to find refuge in this world of everything fading away is to have no refuge. That to really live, that suffering is asking the world for what it cannot provide. So if we want stability and permanence, we're going to suffer if we think it's going to come from anywhere outside. He says we got to do it from the inside. And what happens when we have disgust or aversion? It becomes, and on the other side, what happens when we have clinging and dependence? So we're like getting away from something. He says we don't have peace because we cannot be okay with it there. It triggers a fear of death. That we could end, that it could end, our respectability could end, our mattering can end when it comes to people, or clinging dependence is that our sense of control, our sense of lasting, of being a long lasting, could, so these rob us of our peace. He says you have to come back to what works for you. Let others do for themselves too. Each truth is found by the individual. You have to listen to people, you have to be an ear, you have to investigate, you have to learn, you have to have stake in what you're doing. And he says, again, we're all going to die. That's our connectedness. So the hostility is unwholesome and it hurts us, right? That we have guilt, shame, paranoia. These are things to pay attention to discover, to understand. Because when we do something we're scared of every day, we become less paranoid. Oh no, someone's going to see me. I'm not going to, this could happen. But we scare ourselves every day. Not dangerous, but something that we're afraid of to overcome that guilt, that shame, that paranoia. And one way to bring that into action is to, and like I said, he mentioned be an ear, listen to people. Our connectedness is to actually listen to people even when they're saying things we don't like. That seems to be a big one for me and everybody I know is something we're scared of is to just be a good listener and let the person have their truth. Let them find it at their pace, even if we don't like how we're coming across in it. So that means we're each talking to ourselves. No one in particular. Aside from the fact that we each have to talk to, particular individuals. We're really talking to particularities of ourselves. And they say there's 6 questions we're going to have when we get to heaven, or when we die. The first, and this is, this is important, right? So did you do business, buying and selling faithfully? Did you, were you honest in your dealings? And this is like, the way to get away from that guilt, shame, and paranoia, that nothing's going to chase us. We have nothing to be ashamed of, and we have nothing to feel guilty for if we face this question. This is the healing question. And there's 6 of them. So did you do business, buying and selling faithfully? Were you honest in your dealings? Another one is, did you fix the times for Torah, for prioritizing the truth? 3, were you involved in being fruitful and multiplying, planning for the future with love, sacrifice? Basically, were you able to be selfless and plan for the future? Someone who plants a large fruit tree sometimes it doesn't actually happen in their life. It starts from a little seed. It could happen after they're dead, but they planted it for the future. So in some way, were you willing to provide for others? Number 4, did you anticipate redemption? Were you longing for a perfect world? Or did you want to be part of the problem? Did you believe that everything would turn out for the best and that there was going to be a light at the end of the tunnel? Number 5, were you intellectually engaged in pursuing wisdom, understanding the deeper meaning to things? Like in Judaism, when they have these discussions where you go in deeper, and then that one brings you in deeper and deeper, and you just really explore for the sake of learning and getting to understand God's mind, is Pilpul. And number 6, were you in awe of heaven? This is both like, look, there's the one, the exalted one outlives everyone. The life itself outlives, the source of life outlives the individual lives. And yet, we also have to love that. We say, thank you for loving me. I don't want anything to last, the temporariness of everything. I wouldn't want just that one curtain or just that one relationship to last forever. What I want is to be always connected to the forever, not to the thing that I want to take on the forever quality, right? And now the practice I would like to share is writing some ways you find meaning in life, because this is a heavy topic and it can be a bit heavy. So a great way to lighten it up and feel in control of what we're really not in control of is, how do you find meaning on the way? So you're going to write 26 things that you do, that's what I did, that you find meaning on the way. And I'll just read them. I'm not going to number all of them. Nature time, connecting through touch, whether it's cuddling, affection, or massage alignment, making art, writing letters or cards, trying new foods, intuitive cooking with good results, seeing art in beautiful things, places, designs, laying in the sun, long hot bath or shower with music and ambient lighting, brief interesting encounters with strangers, transporting and captivating movies and conversations, exposure to animals, interacting with cats and dogs when they interact with me, long quiet walks in new places, deeply bittersweet moments, yoga of all kinds I like. Yoga of all kinds I like. That's a Yoda way to say it. And I don't even really watch Star Wars, sometimes with my dad. 17, watching kids absorbed or discovering. 18, music that touches me. Weed medication yielded perceptions and sensations. 20, low light evenings, sitting around with someone who loves me a lot. Helping people, found laughter, new words I can actually use, like learning them. Reflecting on ways I've grown on purpose. Feeling aligned with someone multidimensionally. This is like spiritual, emotional, physical, mental, relational. And 26, finding new parts of finding new parts in the familiar or in me. Finding new parts. So I actually didn't write this very recently. I wrote this a couple years ago, but I keep it because you never know when you might need it. Life can be very tough. Death can seem, to some people like an escape. Some people like, why would I even want to die? Why would I want to return to my maker? My maker doesn't seem to like me very much. Otherwise they would kill themselves. So there are people who, at times, life seems so meaningless, or the truth journey is too individual and they don't have connection. Or the temporary feels overwhelming, the temporariness. It's just like there's nothing to hold on to. I don't want to be here anymore. So, I'm grateful to be able to share this stuff today. It's important, like I said, and I hope it reaches the right person or people it needs to. And I wish you well. Thank you for spending time with me.